All right, I think everything is good. I think we can start right now. Yeah, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us to this brand new time schedule for the Hippy Dippy Super Sunday. Yeah, let's go. Let's start by introduction. So tell people who you are, where they can find you, and yeah, pretty much, yeah. What do you stand for? Where do you lean politically? All of this. All right, and let's start with No Justice.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm No Justice. Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. There you go. Hello, I'm on No Justice from the UK, Britbonger rights activist, miscellaneous leftist, trade unionist, world's best pathologic two player. You can find me at, I've got a link tree, which is linktree/ no underscore justice underscore MTG, if you want to find all my socials there.
Yeah, yeah. Feel free to post the link in my chat if you want. Um, all right, I'm going to throw it to Hardwood and Sock.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Hardwood and Sock, center right leaning individual. Just kind of started doing political streaming in the last month or so. I do I love having conversations with people with opposing views and just kind of seeing where everyone lines up and why they line up there. Thanks for having me, Geek, as always, and look forward to the conversation.
Hell yeah. I'm now going to throw it to my co-host, Binks. How are you doing?
What's up, everybody? I'm Binks. I am a humble balloons gamer who, for some reason, streams in the politics category. For those who are new to the channel, also don't forget to like and subscribe if you can. Mr. Geek's channel, he puts a lot of work into this. Also, Danabo, not here right now, doing has to watch E3, but also he set this up 2 weeks in advance. So thanks everyone for the hard work and looking forward to the conversation.
Hell yeah. I'm going to throw it to Feline Father.
Hey everybody, Feeling Father here. So politically, I'm right of center. A lot of people don't believe that because I'm very scientifically based. I do a lot of science content, microbiology. As of recently, of the last year, COVID-19 stuff. I'm pretty excited about the conversation, especially around the thing of the Dr. Fauci emails, because I'm uniquely qualified in that I have read 2,957 pages of the emails. I can share my PDF with everybody here that is fully annotated. It has some of the more important emails annotated, but also has some really funny emails annotated too. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm really looking forward to have a productive conversation.
Hell yeah. I'm going to throw it to the best codename players. The best codename player I know, Sebs Dev. How are you doing?
Hey, Mr. Geek. Hi, I'm Sebzeb. I'm a leftist streamer, political. Again, I'm very left. I love films and I just talk leftist shit every day, all day on twitch.tv/Sebzeb. So, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Also, fellow him chatter that I always mold there 24/7. So, yeah.
And speaking of, how are you doing, Doc?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm doing good. I'm Dr. Hindao. I stream at the weirdest hours here on Twitch of 5:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern. So if you're in the European time zone, you can catch me then. And yeah, I'm doing my PhD. I talk about politics and I make fire tweets. And yeah, I'm recently the author of my very first viral tweet, so I'm really excited
Oh my
about that.
God.
And I'm here to hang out with you guys and shoot the shit on a Sunday.
Hell yeah. Kim was here during the first show ever, like at least a year ago now,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
with the freaking wasp that was chasing me.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah.
so I ended up like my first show. Basically, I did it with the open window, and the wasp basically started to chase me. So I ended up under my desk and moderating by like shaking a shoe. So that was fun as a first show. Anyway, Happy has humor. How are you doing?
Hello, cheerio, good day, guten tag. Uh, First off, apologies for my subpar audio. Did what I could. I'll try and do better next time if I'm invited back. My name is Sharon. I am born and raised Oakland, California, USA. Currently live in Ohio, sort of near Cleveland. I have a YouTube channel called Habeas Humor that grew out of a podcast I started back in 2017. Politically, I am a minartho-socialist, according to a quiz I took. Cat's about to be on my keyboard. I am a straight cis woman. My pronouns are she, her. I have a professional background as an attorney with a little bit of journalism and other stuff thrown in. As far as debate experience, I was on the tournament circuit for 4 years back in college. I'm also a singer, improv comedian, and cat enthusiast. This is my first time on a show. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you to the audience for watching, and thank you to the rest of the panel for showing up to have this talk. That's it.
Yeah. And last but not least, North Countryman. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm definitely least. I'm North Countryman. I'm Binks's parole officer, so I have to be here legally. I started doing this about a month ago, and I hit 50 followers this past week. So apparently, for some reason, people seem to like political economy. I don't know why. Politically, I lean on my arm when I'm feeling a little bit tired and want to fall asleep. This is going to be a weird, interesting panel. But with the lineup we have here, it's I don't know where it's going to go, but it's going to be fun. You can find me at twitch.tv/NorthCountryman. Technically, I have a Twitter, but I don't use it, so that's who I am.
Yeah. All right. So let's go. Sorry, what did you say, Happiness?
I was about to. I clicked on something and I think it left me out of the room.
Yeah. You can
my link in the chat.
just click on the link and I'm going to send it to you. Anyway, let's go over the rules real quick. So first of all, when I speak, it's not going to be to chime in. It's going to be to moderate. So when I speak, please don't speak over me. I will mute you if that happens more than once. Okay, so the show. We're gonna have opening statement, 1 minute maximum, or like really maximum. After that, we're going to have like basically the free for all, and after that, closing statement. The last time you can address a topic is during the opening for the next topic. After that, it's over. We move on. If you see that two people are engaging and you cannot basically you want to talk, raise your hand. I will mark your name, and I will give you the mic as soon as I see an opening. What else? Nothing to us. No interruption during opening and closing statement. Also, do not interrupt. Opening statement, opening and closing are your time. So yeah. Beside that, I think that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any question? Perfect. In that case, let's go. Let's go for the first topic, which is Fauci's email. So yeah, basically a lot of email that has been like not really leaked, but open to the public, basically. And there's a lot of conspiracy around this. So yeah, there's a lot of like things to say about that. So yeah, let's try to Dr. Hemdal.
Okay, cool. So I'm someone who knows someone who read all the emails, and I don't know who that person might be, but that person came on my show. I forgot what their name was, and basically we went through some of the highlights. And to be honest, I'm more interested in like the process of how the emails even were accepted to be, put out there. Like it's just interesting to me how of all things to be like leaked or not leaked, but unclassified, that was what it's going to be. That's interesting. And another thing that's really interesting is I guess there's going to be another batch of emails. This first batch was only from like I guess the March and April of 2020, which is when things were just starting to pick up. It'll be more interesting to see the emails in the further months that come. I'm sure they'll be way crazier, and there might even be some, who knows what we'll see in there. As for like overall what I think of Fauci, I think he's fine. I think he was put in a really, really, really tough position of having to navigate the water between scientific accuracy and diplomacy and dealing with Donald Trump. And he was just in a really tough position. And it's really easy for us to say in hindsight, hey, he did this wrong or he did this wrong, when like this person was making real-time decisions with the information that was available to them at the time. So yeah, that's my opening statement, I guess.
Yeah. I'm going to throw it to someone who didn't read the emails. Feline Father.
Hey everybody, Feeling Father. Yeah, Doc, I was just gonna say that guy you were talking about seems like a real nerd and a half. So as for my opening statement on this stuff, right? Dr. Fauci's emails and Dr. Code response. So as everyone's plentifully aware, I've read all 2,957 pages of Fauci's emails. I went through all of them, and I had to tell you, I have a deeper respect for this man reading all those. I can tell you right now, the reason that the emails are in the news today, they're reaching for straws. They're being very hyperbolic in a lot of things, and for the reason it's in the news, it's a big nothing burger. However, there are reasons it should be in the news, and there are emails in there that I think are very interesting and require discussion, but nobody really gives a shit about those because those aren't the ones that people can make a big deal. As for how it came to be, the Fauci emails were from a FOIA request, so Freedom of Information Act request. And I also agree in regards to the redaction of some of these things. There were some redaction choices that were coded in a way that it didn't mean that it was a certain the reason that the thing was redacted was because the people who were doing the redactions decided and they came to a conclusion, yeah, this should probably be redacted. There was no secret information or anything like that. So I'm interested as to why some things got redacted. As for his COVID response, he did what he did his best with the information he had. A lot of people ding him for early on for saying we don't need to wear masks. People need to realize that he was going off historical norms and that SARS-CoV-2 is the most unique pathogen in regards that causes a pandemic in human history. Period. Right, we've never had a pathogen in human history that has ever had you can be asymptomatic for up to 2 weeks and still be shedding the virus. This is a very, 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 very unique situation. But his recommendations early on were the correct recommendations in what we thought was happening. People need to realize when a majority of Europe and Asian countries were pushing for a hard lockdown early, and they were saying we're gonna wear masks. They weren't doing that because they knew what the right answer was. They were doing it out of fear, right? And sometimes that is the correct course of action. Do things out of fear, out of the unknown. But they weren't doing it because they knew. Again, Dr. Fauci, he's been doing the best he's ever. He's doing the best with what he had. Early on, he had to deal with a president who was an absolute dipshit and acted like a toddler in everything he would do. And our response suffered because of it. So I would say it. I would especially say in regards to looking back with hindsight 2020 on all his actions, his emails, and anything, even leading virologists have done and said about these things. I promise you, if you could interpret anything as some kind of nefarious intent, it probably isn't nefarious. It's probably just them being super awkward because this is the first time that Dr. Fauci has ever been in the forward-facing leader almost of the world in regards to COVID-19 response and his 30 however long years he's been in his position.
Okay.
And yes, so
Almost
that's
40.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to throw it to Javier.
Hi. Okay, so where was I? Okay. As far as Fauci email gate, so I did some research on this because honestly, this was so uninteresting to me before that I didn't even really read up on it. I was like, okay, another what did he do? Did he send a private email or something like Hillary had done and destroyed Western civilization? So it turns out that what happened was at least two journalist organizations, what was it, BuzzFeed and where are my notes? Okay, there was a FOIA request, as was said, a Freedom of Information request. They wanted to get, for some reason, Dr. Fauci's emails, probably to like look for information and find out what were the communications, maybe find out what was he talking to the president about. According to NPR, I read an NPR article on June 3rd that was dated June 3rd, 2021. There were thousands of pages of his work emails from the early months of the pandemic that were released. It revealed that, number one, the guy, like, as has been said, he is a machine. I was watching a video talking about him working 15 hours a day, the poor guy. He's in his 80s. He sits there apparently for hours, just responding to any rando who writes into him, because apparently Americans have been writing to him since like February with like super specific questions, and he'll answer in like an hour. Someone wrote to him like, we were planning to have a conference this summer. Should we cancel it? Someone wrote to him about whether if you get the pneumonia vaccine, will it have any effect? And he answers these questions. So it showed he's a very hard worker. And then, of course, for the people who are looking for any excuse to try and talk about this being some kind of Chinese terrorist thing or some kind of hoax or some kind of conspiracy or some kind of Jewish space laser-based pandemic, they're going to comb through these emails. We've got, the likes of Marjorie Taylor Greene, that bastion of rationality. She said that if someone can ever tell me how to get these Discord things from popping up on my screen, that'll be great. But let's see. Where's my Marjorie Taylor Greene note? Oh, yeah. On June 4th, she sent a letter to President Joe Biden demanding an investigation into whether Fauci was involved in an alleged cover-up of the virus's potential origin. So, that's who we're dealing with. Those are the people that are making a big deal out of these emails. There was also the fact that back in February of 2020, Dr. Fauci was not yet on the path to tell everyone to use a mask because they weren't sure yet. As we know, masks, as we still know, masks don't necessarily protect you so much. They're more to keep you from transmitting. They're kind of effective that way. And the CDC and the NIH back in February of 2020, they still weren't sure what's the efficacy. They didn't want people to panic buy the way they did for toilet paper or anything like that, and then leave the PPE unavailable for healthcare workers. So they were a little bit slow to roll out the directive for everyone to wear a mask. So you can say that they flip-flopped or something on that. You can say it's a big hoax because of that. You can say Trump was right the whole time. But I think that Fauci, I just want for anyone to say that these emails or anything else shows that Dr. Fauci has done anything negligent or malicious, just like show me an example and I'll look into it and we can talk about it. So that's it.
All right, I'm going to throw it to Hardwood and Sock.
All right, so I have also had a pretty extensive talk with Feline about the emails, and I kind of do agree with him. And as like to this point, it is kind of a nothing burger, right? As far as the emails go, there is the right is going to grasp for straws like the far right that think it's a conspiracy. I don't think that there was ever any malicious intent if the virus did come out of the lab. I don't think that Fauci had any malicious intent in saying don't wear masks. I don't think that there was, any conspiracy around this whole thing. I think a lot of the discussion will be cleared up with the second email dump. As far as seeing where the conversations with certain scientists that he had contact with throughout the year, how that might have changed his mind, how like the conversation around like where the virus originated. That's kind of like what I'm more interested in. And early on, I believe some of the emails from other scientists said that there were issues in like the breakdown of the virus that it looked like it might not have come out naturally. And so I'm interested to see like in the next email dump like that when his mind was changed in that and why his mind is now currently open to the idea of lab leak again. That's kind of more interesting for me. But as far as like the conspiracy and all that, no, I don't think anything's there. But I do find it interesting, and I am glad that journalists did do a FOIA request in this. And I think they need to do more of it, and they've needed to do more of it for a very long time. So maybe this is a return to actual journalism. That'd be great. That's all I got.
All right, I'm going to throw it to North.
It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories, instead of theories to suit facts. Quote from Sherlock Holmes, the great detective. What I'm seeing with this is just people who are searching for views, searching for ratings, just trying to stay in the media spotlight, grabbing hold of these and thinking, there's 2,000 of these. Surely there's something here that backs up our batshit crazy theory that people seem to want to watch. And our country is in a worse shape because of that. There are a lot of things that we could be discussing. We could be discussing G7. We could be discussing the economic recovery from COVID. We could be discussing the vaccine rollout. There's so many things we could be talking about. But we're talking about instead Dr. Fauci responding to somebody saying, hey, can we have a conference? If I fall asleep during this panel, it has nothing to do with the quality of guests that are here. These are fantastic, amazing people. It has entirely to do with this topic. And the fact that this is a topic of choice for these kind of panels does say something about the nature of Twitch politics. Can we do better, or are we forced to scrape the bottom of the barrel of absolutely complete meme-worthy topics?
Wow, I see how it is.
You might have to jump in here, Mr. Geek, at some point.
Yes.
You're gonna have to give your own opening statement soon.
Where is Hannibal?
All right, no justice. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think these emails just kind of prove what we already knew, in that Fauci was, going along with the scientific consensus and relaying that information as best he could. I'm sure there are going to be plenty of people who are going to be scouring through each and every email, trying to read between the lines, like like a high school English teacher extracting subtext from a Chekhov play. Like, I'm sure there are going to be plenty of people doing that, but I don't see any reason why it's going to lend to any kind of conspiracy theory in these instances. It all the evidence seems fine to me. As for the actual COVID response, it seems, his recommendations for the COVID response at least is kind of in line with what we experienced over here, and that the recommendations on masks changed around about the same time that Chris Whitty over in the UK took the same kind of attitude towards mask wearing that Fauci did, which again lines up with the change in scientific consensus. So Nothing Burger seems like the most likely thoughts that I would have over this particular issue.
All right. And Sebs, go ahead.
Sadly, for all the drama frogs, I think I will agree with literally every single one of the other statements made. I think that this is just yet another potato head gate, and it's just the right trying to search for something to grasp and make a whole bigger deal than it is. I think Fauci was just a doctor who knew how to do things and did the best that he could. He could have done things better, I guess, but the emails are nothing really that prove against it. And again, as mentioned before, I don't know why. I mean, it is interesting that the emails were quote unquote leaked, even though there is a Freedom of Information Act that made it possible for anyone to really get those emails. So, yeah. And also, I completely agree with North Countryman. I was the first to say it in the Discord. This topic is pretty underwhelming. And nothing against you, Mr. Geek or Danabo. You know, I love you both, but I expected better for my first panel here.
Listen, it's up to you guys to make it interesting. Let me ask you a question, okay? Let me ask you a question. What other kind of things can you ask for freedom of information on, and how come I haven't heard of any other instance? When was the last time this happened? I guess.
Oh shit, it happens all the time. I did it last week actually.
Okay, but none are like as big as this.
No, I mean, so you can do a Freedom of Information Act request for any public official. Yeah, at any
So
time.
how does does it often get accepted?
It has to get accepted.
Yeah.
They can't deny it.
Yeah, it's literally
legally.
like the law.
Are you in the USA, Dr. Needs, or are you a different country?
I'm in
That's
Canada.
I
I
just
live in live in
So
America, home of the
Canada-
free.
Let me
Yeah.
see if there's an equivalent.
So basically every public official's private shit gets released.
Yeah, I mean, so
Records
it's
in
like
general, they're supposed to be transparent.
They can redact it,
right,
though,
and you
with
need
a
to
lot
like
of
be
stuff.
specific about the email,
It
like the
says-
stuff
Oh, yeah.
you request.
Any person has the right to request access to federal agency records or information, except to the extent that the records are provided. So there are some exceptions, and some of the information that you ask for should be like redacted if it includes some of the exceptions in the law. But yeah, like anyone has the right to ask for these kinds of documents or information.
Yeah, the idea is that government files are supposed to be open unless there's some sort of national security reason or confidentiality, which is a big reason. Someone mentioned redactions. Redactions usually happen because someone's private identifying information is in there, or there's something, not that there aren't fishy redactions. I mean, look at Nixon and his tapes. Of course it's happened. But just to answer, in Canada, they have kind of an equivalent, according to Wikipedia. In Canada, the Access to Information Act allows citizens to demand records from federal bodies. Came into force in 1983 under the Pierre Trudeau government, permitting Canadians to retrieve information from government files, establishing what can be accessed. So yeah, anyone can
but requesting it is one thing. I'm just wondering how often are they actually granted? Like, what's the percentage on that? Is it 100%?
It depends, right? So it depends on like what you're asking for. So if you ask for something that is like confidential, then they can deny it. But they have to have a
I'm
reason
assuming
to
most things are confidential, no?
No.
Like, can't they just say everything is a national security threat? Like, go fuck
No,
yourself?
like I say, it all depends. Like, they have to have a reason for denying it. If they don't have a reason for denying it, then they have to like within like a time frame that is like acceptable. Like usually, so if you request it, like what's gonna happen a lot of times is the agency's like lawyer's gonna get back to you and be like, okay, so you want this information, and they'll say, okay, well we can do this within like this amount of time because it's blah, 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 yeah. And then they have to file a request. If they don't file a request, they don't get back at you. You could actually file a thing through like your like state's like attorney general, and like you can like sue the state for not doing it.
Do you guys know when was the last big mainstream information release? Because like it seems like this should be a thing every week where some massive thing. But the Mueller report was that like released like through that, or I thought that was just public.
It wasn't a FOIA request, but it was basically like a government and I know that recently this panel or a different panel was talking about what was it, Congress investigating the January 6th, and one of the reasons why people were pushing for that was because we wanted the information, like the FBI,
like that's a good question. Can we see
files, at least not much.
Oh, I see. So it's just like public information, not including FBI or anything like that.
Well, I mean,
Right.
you can definitely get your FBI file. I remember in an episode of Law and Order SVU, who was the guy? I'm blanking on the name. The guy that was the big like conspiracy theorist on SVU.
I
He
don't
went to
know.
the FBI once. He did a FOIA request. He's like, I want my file, and they gave it
Munch.
to him, and it was like this, month, and it was like this paper thin. He's like, that's it. And he was like
Yeah.
all disappointed that the FBI didn't have a big file on him. I remember for one of my shows, I did research on Putin and his work with the Stasi in East Germany. And like back then, during the Cold War, if you were living in East Germany, the Stasi on every single person, they would have like 11 file drawers on each person. They just would keep getting information on you. Had they had FOIA, you'd been able to get all that.
Now, okay, so I do want to hit like so y'all were like kind of like slamming the topic for like being a nothing burger and kind of boring and like not being like whatever. But I can make it very spicy and how this is actually a very important topic to talk about, specifically in relation to how the fallout that has started happening because of these Dr. Fauci email FOIA requests. For one, a lot of the scientists that are in these emails, for example, my hero Kristen Anderson, right? He's deleted his Twitter account. He is no longer forward facing with the public. He's no longer dealing with the media, and he's a leading virologist in regards to these things. He was getting a bunch of death threats following this. People are dragging him through the mud with his career over nothing, over like fucking nothing, literally nothing. And the people that have been like continuing these kinds of like bullshit lies and claims are, Rand Paul, senators, like the news media. Like these are not people. These are not just like you're like YouTube conspiracy theorists, right? These are like actual sitting senators who are perpetrating these conspiracy theories, and they're actually it has a visible detrimental effect on researchers right now. And you also want to talk about some more fallout from this. Tell me why they're starting to apply this ideology and starting to apply this like, oh, they've been lying to us for a year now to, I don't know, climate science. They're starting to apply it to the lack in wanting to trust your local health agencies. I would also suggest you take a look at your local state and see if they have filed for any kind of legislation that will, I don't know, take away autonomy and the ability for your health agencies to do things. Certain research to happen in your state, because that's being pushed through in 12 states currently. So it is an extremely important topic to talk about.
Sorry, what is being pushed to in 12 states?
Some states are trying to restrict the autonomy and the ability for health agencies to do things, as well as they're trying to restrict the type of research that happens within their state because of the bullshit following this. And they're starting to apply this collective ooh, we can't trust our health agencies, or ooh, we can't trust the science, to now climate science. They're starting to question everything now for no reason, for nothing.
No, they've been questioning climate science for a while. Since I was
It's about to get worse.
We've been having deniers. Yeah, I mean, people are anti-science, except like the stuff, like if they had cancer, they'll trust the science, but.
And also, following this, says Kristen Anderson is no longer forward-facing as a researcher. Other researchers are following suit because they also don't want to have death threats or have bricks thrown through their window or get doxxed, right? Or have racial slurs slung at them. And I don't blame them for it. But unfortunately, because these things are happening, now there's going to be a void in people talking about these things. And who do you think is going to be taking up the mantle of talking about, scientific topics and within the public? It's not going to be our professionals. It's going to be
Steven
people
Crowder.
people like Steven Crowder, people like
Alex
Brett
Jones.
Weinstein, the Brett Weinsteins of the world. We're now going to be entering a era of disinformation and bullshit science, all because people don't want to talk about these things or don't want to push back against like the current
or they'll nitpick small errors and magnify them as though they're like the biggest thing in the world that you've ever seen.
Feline, real quick.
The symptom or the cause? Because I think there's just a symptom of what's been going on, or just like another
Lack
example.
of public education.
Yes.
So, Feline, real quick. Just to clarify who the Anderson guy is, right? Is he the one that the right is claiming, was emailing Fauci and saying that it looks the genome of the virus doesn't follow natural causes, and then he came out and said, but then in the public he was basically saying it is natural causes, right? Or like later
Not
on
in the
down
public,
the road.
in emails too. So yes,
Okay.
and this is another thing too. So yes, in February, early in February, he emailed it was a cursory, like, oh, I don't know, like to Dr. Fauci, like, yeah, it's something seem abnormal, right? And then in the emails, he says, by the end of the week, we'll have more information. And guess what? An email came out by the end of the week. He changed his mind because more information came out, and he changed his mind because of the overwhelming majority of evidence that started to support the natural origin. Believe it or not, people, we have this thing called the scientific method. As more research comes out and more stuff comes out, scientists change their mind. They follow the evidence. They don't just follow their gut. They don't just like stick. They're not very like hard-headed. Or good scientists aren't. And they follow what they see.
Was this the particular one where there was the was this the one where the virus structure was like 0.1% of it was different from all the other coronavirus ones, and then they found examples of other coronaviruses that had this particular part of the genome included as well, which then negated that previous theory, right? Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
No, I just wanted to clarify who that was. You know what I mean? Just so we're providing context for everybody. Fuck. I forgot what I was going to say. That's cool.
It's almost like scientists change their minds once there is more information.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, so the reason why like I'm very interested like with the second email dump coming is like I don't know like the time frame that it's going to cover, but if it's going to cover like up to 2 weeks ago, I think we'll be able to see where the narrative goes in regards to like where it came from, right?
But
because
it would probably wouldn't it be like another 2 month span? They're not going to release all the rest, will they?
Yeah, so
I don't know what it's
these
looking
emails ended in June, right? And I don't know how far out the next dump's gonna go. They're releasing them in like chunks because it's like a lot of emails.
A lot.
Like,
yeah.
Real quick. Sorry, I wanted to throw it to Habias because I know she's been trying to speak for a while. So yeah.
Oh no, it's okay. Like I'm just kind of listening, but thank you. Like I was just kind of waiting for like a time to bring up because I definitely wanted to listen to what other people have. But there were a couple of things that as for what was just said about where the virus came from, I don't know if like Fauci has. I mean, I'm sure that whatever he thinks. Unless you're a real conspiracy, you think there's a real deep state and you think they're really keeping it secret. I personally don't have any. I have not seen any evidence to say that Dr. Fauci would not say exactly what he thinks about where the virus came from. And I believe that the current hypothesis is that it was transmitted originally by bats and not made in a lab. And the other thing that I was just kind of wanting to, when we're talking about all this anti-science stuff and what do we do? I mean, it's very real because, in the U.S. and many countries, we have vaccine hesitancy among a lot of people. And if you ask them, like, why, if you, like, kind of keep getting Socratic with them about, like, why don't you want this vaccine? Like, do they even know why? They'll say things like, well, I don't know what's in it. But, we don't know what's in Velveeta either. It's like, that's not a reason. So I just wanted to see if any, do you think Fauci should be doing something? Do you think Fauci has done as much as he could? And obviously, it's probably not within his power because of the situation we have with education and everything.
Yeah. No, I mean, like the reason why I'm pushing back a little bit on like where the virus has come from, because recently, I believe Fauci actually came out and said that we need to do an investigation to see where it came from, because he basically opened it up to a possibility that it might be, released from a lab, which then caused a bunch of people on the right to like really analyze these emails, right? Like really far and make it like the only solution, right? Which it isn't the only solution, but it is. I find it interesting, like that now it appears that we're talking about like the lab leak again, whereas like we weren't previously. And I know Feline's about to like come at me.
Yeah, I'm about to pop off, boy. So let me tell you, what would you say if I were to tell you that was always been his position since day one? Literally, that has always been his position since day one. That has been every single scientist that has been investigating his position since day one, right? No one's said we haven't investigated. No one's ever said that, right? Everyone's always been open to the investigation. Everyone's always said, yes, we should investigate it. Boom, right? The reason that it's in the news today is because of the email dump, right? And also, when they're saying like, "Ooh, new evidence." By the way, there's no new evidence. They're just rehashing the same old bullshit from 6 months ago, right? I want to make it this like extremely like just super, super, super clear. No one said we shouldn't investigate it. No one has ever said we shouldn't. Everyone's always been on board with it. And if like, I also like want to bring this up. So the reason that like, Biden and like Fauci are like making like a big deal right now. They're saying things like, "Oh yeah, we should investigate it," and they're trying to make it seem like this like they've been swayed to do these things. You remember when Biden also said that they were going to release the IPs for the vaccines too? They're going to release the IPs on the vaccine. We're going to make it so we can free to open. Do you know why they did that? Just so everyone would shut the fuck up about it, right? Because literally, him releasing the IPs of what they did through the United States didn't do anything, it won't do anything, and then also them saying this right now, same situation. They're saying it just so the people that are like conspiracy theorists and the Rand Pauls of the world will just shut up, right? They're doing literally like it's like, and you know what? I support it 100%. Like anything that they could do that would take the spotlight off of researchers currently, I am 100% for it. But yeah, I can tell you right now, no one's ever said no. Yes, currently the preponderance of evidence is in favor of the natural origin. And I also want to say, I think it's disgusting of how people are like for the lab leak theory, or people on the right, how they have been taking advantage of the charitability and the actual the understanding of like science, right? Because nothing in science is solid. Everything is up for question. And because of that, they just take advantage of that and they just twist it. And they say like, well, they'll say something like the effect of, "Oh, well, and it could be from the lab," and like grit your teeth and like just like punching my fist like within the science community. We had to say, yes, technically it could have come from the lab. You are correct. However, the preponderance of evidence is saying it's from natural origins.
I'm so much more interested in like how it was dealt with rather than the origin. Anyway, I don't find it that interesting of a topic. Whether or not it was accidentally leaked from a lab or it was from the bats, from the wet markets, I don't really think it.
Well, you could say this. Well, I'm interested what Feline thinks about this.
I don't really care either way what the origin was. I'm more interested in like how it was handled on a global stage.
All right, well, 1 second. I think Biden and Johnson just called for a investigation into the lab leak, correct? So, and obviously
Biden and who? Sorry, Biden and
Boris
who?
Johnson.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
So, we could say there's no evidence pointing to this right now, but we could say if at some point it does get proven that this was a lab leak, just hypothetically, right? That would be a Chernobyl level fuck up from the scientific community. So I'm interested what Feline Father would say about that.
No, so what can I ask you? Can I push back? Like, okay, so let's say in the hypothetical scenario this happens, then what's the next course of action? Like, we end science or we attack China? Like, I just don't know what is the next course of action.
I wouldn't say it's ending science, but I would say you'd probably have to address that this was a systemic level problem.
Wait 1 sec. So should they not look into like potential future viruses, or like from what it seems, the research that was going on in these labs is like research that's necessary to be able to prevent future pandemics.
Yeah, of course.
So
I would. My only suggestion, as not a scientist, would be to do things that would mitigate as little possibility of creating a worldwide pandemic as humanly possible, right?
Sure, yeah. So, but you could push for those things, right? We could push for more transparency. That we could say, hey, listen, the lab, like, it didn't have enough transparency. We don't actually need to know what the origin was in order to look at, like, hey, what was going on at this lab, or what can we do to prevent this from happening again? None of these actually, in my opinion, require knowing what the origin was.
So I can tell you straight up like why they're so hyper fixated on this. It's because they want to make a connection from that to us funding it, right? That's why there's a fucking magnifying glass on like.
Or they want to blame the Chinese government or something and say
right.
You know,
It's like a 2 birds, 1 stone situation, right? You need to blame the Chinese government for doing something, and then you also get to slam dunk the Biden administration. You get to slam dunk Fauci
Obama.
for like funding these things. Yeah, Obama and all this shit. Like, it's like a disgusting.
But you could also slam dunk the Trump administration, who also signed off on this funding, correct?
No, actually, so
they cut it off, right?
Yeah, so it actually got so the fund, this guy's grant, the person in question, right? his research grant, $600,000 yearly from the NIH, actually got restarted, and also the whole like funding of gain of function research, that all got restarted like on the ass end of Obama's presidency.
Okay.
So no, it wouldn't have came on Trump, but also Trump was ooh, against the Chinese government and against, oh my god, he was fucking the deep state's fucking savior dealing with this thing. So no, yeah, it wouldn't fall on his lap at all.
Also, most people spreading this misinformation are Trump supporters, and there wouldn't be any purpose for them to go against Trump, who they support in the first place. And even if there was anything against Trump, they wouldn't mention it. So.
Well, that's the thing. China's
what would you say if I were to tell you that the left was also been perpetrating and pushing a lot of these Dr. Fauci's a liar stuff?
True. We saw, yeah, Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore would say he's left.
Oh God.
Right? He is. He would say he's left. He has a lot of left positions. He's for Medicare for all. He's for not being an interventionist. He's been pushing Fauci. He's been lying the entire time. So I don't think it's exclusive of the right.
I mean, Jimmy Dore's just an agent provocateur at this point, right? Just whatever gets him views.
But he's not a Trump supporter.
Says he's a centrist,
No, but Jimmy Dore is not.
Also, most Republicans actually support Medicare for all or universal health care. Yes, actually.
No.
Yeah.
No, Stephen Colbert is clearly on the left, right? He's clearly liberal on these things, and he has been a primary pusher of the Dr. Fauci lied about masks, the noble lie bullshit. The left is just complicit in this situation. Huh?
Stephen Colbert interviewed Fauci. Show me where Stephen Colbert was attacking Fauci.
Oh yeah, no. Stephen Colbert is just as complicit in the misinformation around. Yes, right, Fauci. Trust me, I just finished a video on it. Yeah, pretty hilarious.
I would like to examine that claim. I mean, go on.
As a Trump supporter, I actually wouldn't mind, right? It being Trump's fault and attacking the Trump administration for it, right? Because I think that would be intellectually honest of me, right? I know that some Trump supporters are just so loyal that they can't criticize him, but if there's something I can criticize him for, especially in regards to this pandemic, or the origins of it or whatever, if everything comes out to be true, sure. So to blanket say that all Trump supporters aren't going to be honest of it, you know what I mean? I feel like isn't necessarily correct.
I mean, yeah, I was just making a generalized statement. Of course, not every single one. There's always exceptions, but.
I mean, there's this kind of undercurrent of McCarthyism underneath all of it, right? Where they go, well, the CCP were in league with the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and that's why they covered up all of the lab leaks and things like that. And I've seen that from plenty of right-wing, people on this particular issue.
Well, I mean, I'm definitely critical of the CCP and the and how they allowed the WHO to conduct their investigation. I think that's a very fair criticism. And doing an investigation now, it doesn't really matter. I don't know if we're ever going to get 100% conclusive, what happened, because to sit here and say the CCP is completely honest in all their coronavirus reporting is just insane. Yeah.
I do want to put this back, right? So the reason that the CCP is pushing back against a full WHO investigation, blah, 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 is not because they're afraid of what we're going to find in the Wuhan lab. It's that we're going to figure out just how much they were actually lying about the death toll, their infection rates early on in the pandemic. That's what they're worried about, right? Because there was some they had severely lied about their death rates and their death tolls and their infection rates early on. Had they been honest right from the rip, we would have been able to properly calculate the infection rate of it. We would have been able to properly calculate how much of a big issue this is, and we would have been better prepared, and we would have been better ahead of this in regards to data and being able to plan this out and stuff.
For sure. And I mean, that they might be withholding other information as well. But I, for one, am very interested to see what the the Chinese actual numbers are, especially in the beginning of the pandemic, and see how much they actually, hid that information from us.
You'll never know though.
I
And
know
also you
we'll
gotta
never
keep in,
know.
yeah, and also you got to keep in mind that like that like when it comes to a pandemic, just having an authoritarian, ultra authoritarian country is just better suited for it, right? Like in China, if I recall, if you are on quarantine, they literally, I don't know if this happened or not. Actually, maybe I should look further into this, but I'm almost sure this happened, where they would lock you into your own house and like bring you food or whatever you needed until your quarantine was over. So of course, when you're able to restrict freedom that much, then you could easily deal with, like, the number one thing is social distancing. So technically, if everyone stays in their house for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you could eradicate any sort of pandemic, right? So then it's just a matter of like how much do you value your freedom, how much does it's cultural as well. It's not so simple as like, oh, they're hiding their numbers.
But even outside of
I do
China,
think they definitely, because of their authoritarian nature, are able to deal with it a little bit better.
Yeah, but even outside of
For
China, you
sure.
look at New Zealand and Australia and the way in which they were using the containment strategy rather than like any kind of mitigation strategy, and using those similar methods, and they both eradicated.
But you
COVID
need a
very early.
population that
In
cooperates,
contrast,
right?
True.
in North Korea, say, a very authoritarian country that isn't that, is in a lot of trouble, and because of sanctions and everything, can't get vaccines. They weren't able to do, like, they're much more authoritarian than New Zealand and Australia, as the justice was saying. And U.S. pretty authoritarian. They've been kidnapping
No,
people.
U.S. is not authoritarian. U.S. is not.
Oh, we were the
Oh
Wild
my
West.
gosh, Kim. Oh,
Okay,
God,
relax,
nice
guys.
joke.
I'm
Nice
saying
one.
U.S. is not authoritarian like on the level that I'm talking about, where the government can't
North
lock you in your
Korea
own
is,
house.
right? So why did North Korea not?
Because North Korea
Definitely.
already doesn't take good care of its population. They're
No,
horrible.
so you need to be
They're horrible.
authoritarian and take good care of your
I never
population.
wait one sec.
Or maybe just poor.
Wait,
Maybe just taking care of your population.
I never said that exclusively being authoritarian makes you amazing at handling pandemics. I said one of the features of
And
China
what was
is
the
that
point
they're,
of bringing that up?
because what I'm saying is that that's one of the
He
features
loves
that
authoritarianism. Okay, he
it's
loves
a
it.
tool. It's a tool
Mm.
of being. I'm just saying you cannot compare the way that America handled it with the way that China can just say, okay, you're staying in your house for 2 weeks. These are uncomparable situations.
I mean, didn't that was said like literally all the world? Like you have to be in lockdown.
No, not in America.
Yeah,
It was
the
state
US
mandated
was in
rather than federal
lockdown.
mandated, right?
Yeah.
Sorry?
It was
Wasn't
state
there a
mandated.
stay-at-home mandate? Yeah.
Oh my god.
But it was state
Guys.
mandated.
Yeah,
by
but
the
if
federal
it's
government,
so
right?
I was like, you said yourself, like in China at least they send you food to your home.
I
Whereas,
never disagreed with that. That's why I said
Yeah,
it's part of the
like-
reason. Yeah, when you force
Yeah.
people to do shit, you can get shit done in a rapid manner.
And
That's
lockdowns
all I'm
work.
saying.
Like all the data shows that enforced
Yeah.
lockdowns do work.
Of course, yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah,
enforcing law. Yeah. Again,
Yeah,
I
but
don't,
that's
I don't, I don't get
authoritarian.
what this. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is authoritarian in every.
Ian,
Yeah,
why
and
do you love
America
the Chinese
didn't-
Communist Party so much?
and America didn't do it as hard, right? America had one of the softest lockdowns in the entire world, and that's
And
why
got
they
tons of
had
money.
high cases.
There,
We could
there
have
was
said,
a
"Everyone stay
lockdown
home,
here
we'll pay
too,
your
and
rent, we'll pay your bills, we'll bring you food."
yeah.
Could have.
Yeah.
Didn't.
I mean,
I
people
agree,
are
I
getting
agree.
like 80%
I
of their
agree.
salaries over here while they're
In the
furloughed,
US, there
like-
was a necessity to leave to go outside, whereas
I
in China,
agree,
again,
yeah,
you
I
mentioned
know.
they bring you
know.
food. Like
I know, I don't
again,
know, I
that is
agree,
why
yeah.
mentioning the authoritative state of the state is like irrelevant.
It's not. It's literally
No,
the
it's not
ex-
irrelevant at all.
It's literally
Yeah.
the number one most relevant part is that because they're able to
Yeah.
have a compliant population, that they're able to centrally move all these shits quickly, move things, get things to where they need to be, people to stay inside. Like, this is literally what authoritarianism is. In America, they're like, listen, you get to choose whether you want to wear a mask or you don't want to wear a mask. People, I know my friend went to Texas. He went to a mall during the lockdown. He said half the people weren't wearing masks. Like, this is just the nature of the culture. Like, you have disagreement on it.
hyper
And
For
individual.
they're
example,
more tolerant.
right? The perfect example of this, right, is with Israel, right? There's a reason that they were like one of the first in the world to like get their population vaccinated. Well, it's because
Their
it's
Jewish
essentially like
population.
a militarized state, right? And like they were able to get this shit done like that because of that reason. And also, I think it's hilarious, especially here in the United States. People were like super ready to criticize like the lockdown. They were super ready to criticize how it, how this and that, it ruined their life. When when they would do nothing to question like, what did their state do for you? What did their state do to like help try and like ease the lockdown? What did their state do to try and funnel money into like mental health resources or to help feed the elderly or like whatever it is. Some states had like a plus $1 billion like surplus like rainy day fund within their Senate, and they didn't spend a dime of it. It's like people want to talk about like things that things that they could have done to like mitigate, make it easier for them, but fuck, like nobody ever wants to criticize their own state. They're more willing to like criticize Dr. Fauci and like his like it's nuts,
Emails.
crazy.
Well, it's
Real
because
quick, sorry, I want to throw it to Javier.
Oh, thank you. Just to follow up, my father, are you saying that Israel, because I will agree with you that Israel, at least for their, the population that they treat well, the Jews, which my mother is from Israeli, and so half of my family is Jews in Israel, so I have firsthand knowledge, and I also have been acutely aware for my entire life of the apartheid situation there that I condemn. So that's where I'm coming from on that. But I've been to Israel. I would call it a little bit authoritarian in certain ways, but I would say that a big part of why they have better health care is because they have universal health care that we pay for with pretty much with our taxes. And they also were able to, my mother was telling me, like with the vaccines, they were able to like sign up to be like kind of a test population or something. They made deals. Like it's probably a bad taste to make a joke, even though it's my family, but like they made some kind of deal with getting test populations and, so I don't, but as far as like the people's freedom to do anything, it's at least if you're a Jewish citizen there, like it's a lot like the US. I think if they have a better health outcome, I think it's because of their universal health care.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say like they're authoritarian. I would say the reason they were able to roll it out super easy is because like it's essentially a militarized state, right? Like the military handles policing, the military handles like this and that, and because of that, they were able to like roll it out real quick and get people vaccinated super quickly, right? Yeah, no, and I definitely do want to say that like they are fucking over the Palestinians in this situation. Like a lot of them are able to get vaccinated because of the situation. So no, I was saying it's like authoritarian. I was just saying that they're able to do it because of like a militarized state, and it's same situation where like China and how they are very authoritarian, that they're able to take the reins of the situation, they can handle it better, and because of that, they were able to have like better outcomes. Not saying that was the correct thing, like they were welding people into the house, but there is something to be said in regards to like an authoritarian state being able to take. No, nobody else will say anything. No?
You wrapped it
All
up.
right. Yeah, I think. I think that's the end of this topic. Yeah, so let's do like a quick closing statement, everyone, and after that we'll move on into the bonus meme. Let's start with Habias.
Just a couple of sentences is all I really would have to say. Like, I think I don't think anyone here disagreed that Dr. Fauci is qualified and competent and is good performance. I think we're all kind of in agreement there. I definitely, please, Feline Father, send me a link to when you do your video about Stephen Colbert, because like I don't know, I've never seen him do anything against like anti-science or against Dr. Fauci, anything like that. I know he's had Dr. Fauci on the show. He's asked him questions. So I'm interested in that, but that's it. I think we all kind of basically agreed as to Dr. Fauci, and yeah, let's see if any new emails come out that are like scandalous.
All right, I'm going to throw it to Dr. Himdad.
Yeah, so the Dr. Fauci emails are interesting to go through. It's cool that you can have that much transparency, and you live in a country where you have that privilege to be able to see that. I think a lot of places probably don't have such a luxury, and it's cool to be able to sift through it. And it didn't seem like there was any smoking gun, at least not in the first 2 months. I do think it's kind of weird that Dr. Fauci has to go through his own emails. Like, there's no one filtering his email. That's kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. So, Dr. Fauci, if you want to hire me, I'm down. I have some scientific background and I can filter through your emails and only give you the important ones because it's ridiculous that he's up at like 3 a.m. Like, thanks for the note. I'll pass that forward. Thanks for the note. Okay, thanks. Pass for the thanks for the note. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing the next batch. I look forward to having someone I know read all of them and seeing what the highlights there are. So it was an interesting topic. See, you guys, you come on here. Listen, Mr. Geek, don't worry. Okay, I got your back. These rest of these panelists, they come on here. They think that it's up to the panel's job to bring up this interesting discussion topics. The real test is for you to make the discussion interesting. So I
Agreed.
think we all did a good job of that, and it was an interesting discussion.
Yeah. I'm going to pray to no justice.
What can we really say? Fauci's a Chad, trust the science. Emails proved very little of what the conspiracy theorists claim that they do prove, and his advice during the COVID pandemic was the same as we got in many other countries. I don't think it's a particularly contentious topic.
All right. I'm going to pray to feline father.
Yeah. So yeah, Dr. Fauci is an absolute alpha sigma Chad. After all this, like he deserves he deserves like a license to kill. This man should be getting his dick sucked every day in
Jesus.
retirement. But in a
Not
more
wrong,
serious
though.
note, like yes, this topic's not very contentious here, but I'm telling you, in the world at large, it is contentious for all the wrong reasons. Like I said, researchers abound are being they're discredited. There was a COVID researcher who got doxxed and somebody found where they lived and they threw a brick through the window. There are COVID researchers are beginning racial slurs slung at him, and Christian Anderson deleted his Twitter account. He is no longer interacting with people because of a lie, because of lies, because of bullshit. And these things are being perpetrated by our senators. These things are being perpetrated by the news. These things are being perpetrated by other scientists. And these are very important things that we push back against. These are very important things that we are, in my opinion, very aggressive against. Because if we are not aggressive against it, then there's nobody defending these scientists. There's nobody defending these researchers. And I think it's honestly, I think it's actually kind of disgusting how people are very, very like passive on this subject. Because it's not bothering them, it's not affecting them, but you're willing to allow researchers to take the brunt of this, and you only care about the researchers when you need them. Well, guess what? We need them. We need you now. So we need you to be very aggressive on these things. We need you to push back against these kinds of things. And please, don't be passive in these situations, because how's the saying go? If you're neutral on a topic, then you're choosing the side of oppression. Well, that's what's happening here. So please, for God's sakes, defend our researchers. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Hardwood and Thug.
I'm glad where the conversation started and kind of transformed a little bit. I personally probably would have liked to get into like the other effects of lockdowns and the response to COVID as like natural criticisms, but yeah, no, it was a good topic. I don't think that much came out of the Fauci emails. I would like to see what the next batch comes out, hopefully it provides even more clarity on like what's happening, so it gives the far conspiracy theorists like less of a hill to stand on, as small as it is, or it gives them more, like I just hope that we have clarity throughout the process, and I am glad that there is some sort of real journalism like kind of happening again.
All right. I'm going to pray to Binks.
All right. So first off, for everyone who was bashing the topic, stop pretending Mr. Geek chose the topic. Okay, Mr. Geek probably just found the topic this morning. All right, let's be honest with you. Fauci's going to prison. I think we all agree. Next.
All right. North Countryman who fell asleep.
Word.
Oh my god.
There you go. Sebs.
I think Fauci is a completely and utter daddy that has been in the job 40 years for a reason, and how there are Jungians criticize him. So yeah.
All right. Do I forget anyone? No, perfect. All right, so Hippy Dippy Super Sunday. I don't know how to promote it anymore. It was at 6 p.m. yesterday until today. We're trying to moving the time schedule, so please follow me on Twitter. That way you'll get the news as soon as we're set on like the time of the panel from now on. That being said, also please go follow and support our wonderful content creator that are here today. Dr. Himdart, like every morning, like giving us the news. Always amazing. Feline Father, hell yeah. Like you have to admire the persistence, like the energy to go through like
Yes.
2000 emails.
3,000 actually.
Oh, it was a pleasure.
Hold on. What was there one email that just made you think like, okay, nope, I made a mistake. I need to stop doing this.
Nope.
Damn.
Goddamn.
Bravo then.
Anyway, go follow all of our content creator right here. No Justice, Javier's Humor, Seb's Devs, Hardwood and Suck, Binks _ Baby, and North Countryman. All of them. And yeah. Also, real show, Hippy Dippy, the real one. Every Friday, 8 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/DylanBunsTV. So if you like debates, if you like heated argument, this is your panel. And with that being said, let's move on to the next topic, which is oh yeah, this is the bonus meme. All right. This one is a debate I had with Danabo for a while. All right. Do you control your brain, or does your brain controls you? This is the question.
What? Oh god.
Again, do you control your brain, or does your brain control you? I don't think we're going to go into opening statement and everything. Any argument?
Not high enough for this one.
I think none of the above. We are completely controlled by our circumstances, and yeah,
Capitalism?
literally.
Material
I'm controlled by
conditions.
I'm controlled by the lizard men who talk in my ear.
Well, it depends,
Yeah.
right? So, like, believe it or not, there's actually a large portion of the population that doesn't have an inner monologue.
Avantasia? Is that the
Oh
name of that?
yeah,
Is that the name of that?
yeah. There's
Yeah.
They just go
They
about
just
their
feel-
day without
I don't know.
inner
If,
Yeah.
I, don't know if I
If
saw
you
that.
have
I
inner
don't know if I
monologue,
believe
you're
it.
part of the
Scary.
evolved species. I want you to know that.
Say again?
If you have an inner monologue, you're part of the evolved species.
Oh my god.
No, seriously, a
I-
large majority of the population doesn't have an inner monologue, and like they can't like think of their own voice in their head.
Damn, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I learned something today.
Hey, you know. And in that context, I would say your brain controls you. Yeah.
I
I
agree.
hear voices sometimes,
Well, yeah.
but I ignore them and I just carry on committing acts of mayhem.
Is this assuming we're not in a simulation? Because Elon Musk, who is rich and therefore smart, said that we're probably in a simulation.
Has anyone played the video
Yeah,
game
that's-
Soma?
That's how it works.
Yeah,
I
real shit.
agree.
Neurological biology is super fascinating to me, especially with like how neurons actually work. Fuck my life, it's so cool.
Yeah, but I mean, free will is a philosophical question and also a physiological question, and it's like Seb Dev, is that how you pronounce?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm in charge of mine.
You're
Definitely not.
you believe that everything we do is caused by something external. So
Yes.
that means like if you commit a crime, you had no control over it. So what do we do with our criminal justice system? I mean, in my line of work, that's something I have thought about a lot, and I do not have answers. I think our criminal justice system is horrible, and I do not know how to fix it.
Mhm.
Shit, I
Rehabilitation, I guess.
would say like really like we have control over our own actions, because like to be able to to say we don't, we would have to have something to compare it to. So that means we would have to like have a view of like a whole other dimension like of this happening before. If it happened the same way this is happening, then you could say it's like we don't have control. But like I would say we have control.
I
over
mean,
actions.
wouldn't that be the same case if you say that you do, that you would have to compare it with another thing?
No.
True.
Why not?
Well, because the default is you have control over your actions, unless you have a
Why
comparison.
is that the default and
Okay,
not the other?
get him, Sebs.
Because
Got 'em. Destroyed in the marketplace of ideas.
you got these nuts. Think anything else? Yeah.
Yummy, actually.
Oh no.
But no, seriously, neurological biology is super fucking cool. Like it's like the idea that like literally like your thoughts and actions are just like propagations of like literally salt going through his cells like membrane is pretty fucking nuts.
Well, if we don't control, then if we have no control, then why does therapy work? And why does medication work?
Doesn't mean
man.
why.
Hey, you want to talk about neurological biology in relation to like SSRIs and everything?
I mean,
shit. So check this out. Hey, so check this out, right? So the old ideology, right, was that like depression is because you have a lack of serotonin, right? You have this lack of this chemical in your brain. When in actuality, depression is more in tune with like a dysfunctional like serotonin receptor, right? So it's like, because like I could like inject you with all the serotonin in the world, but that won't fix your depression. It's more of like a the receptor that binds the serotonin is not binding correctly, and because of that, right, it's not like the happy juice isn't working correctly. It's super fucking fascinating. By the way, another fun fact: 90% of all the serotonin that's produced in your body is actually produced in your stomach.
So our stomach controls our brain.
Actually, to a certain extent, it does. I personally want to study the human microbiome, and in fact, there's actually like a strong correlation between children who are C-section and like a preponderance of having like asthma, COPD, mental health issues, dermatological issues, because they come out sterile and because they don't have the correct bacterial microbiota in their stomach. Because believe it or not, the bacterial composition of your body plays a big impact in how you develop. It's pretty fucking nuts. It's pretty cool because like your bacteria like helps you break down like certain sugars, helps you produce certain things. Also, by the way, a lot of people don't know this. Your GI tract has its own nervous system. It's called the enteric nervous system, which is actually completely separated and just not even connected to your spinal cord or your brain.
So
My
did you have
pronouns include the
control
phrase
over?
"that nerd." Do you want to borrow it, feline father?
No.
Feline fire. So did you have control over any of those things?
I mean, no. I mean, I don't have control if I'm like born C-section or come out my mom's vaginal canal. I was born C-section, which probably explains a lot about myself, actually.
My niece was born C-section. I'll keep an eye out. I know it's one data point, but no asthma so far.
Oh, there's a lot of data points. Trust me. It's really neat. It's really cool because like it makes sense, right? Because if you come out sterile, you don't have a correct bacterial composition in your stomach. You can't break down your mother's milk, lactase, right? And because of that, you don't have the proper energy as you grow, right? And it becomes like a developmental issue because you don't have like enough energy to like grow these certain things. It's like a cascading thing. It's really cool.
Oh, look
Wait,
at
did you
all
just
these
say that
circumstantial
if you're
things
born
that you're mentioning.
C-section,
It's not circumstantial.
Did
It's
you
all
just say-
scientific.
if you're born
Oh, yeah.
C-section, you can't process milk?
Right, because you come out like sterile, right? Because when you go through your mother's vaginal canal, that's when you get her bacterial composition. If you come out C-section, you actually don't get that. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just Googling this.
It's a good read. It's a good read.
Long-term, the good old NIH has an article. Well, I'll have to read that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you can't trust the NIH. That's what we've learned.
That's
over the
true.
past-
That's true. They're like propagating like some like bullshit like I don't know like adrenochrome shit. I don't know. I don't
I'll
fucking know
find
how
it
this
loaded
is.
and I'll email them or I'll text them like, you up?
Email.
Seriously, I bet you if
Wow.
you're email Dr. Fauci, he'd probably be like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" Like real shit. That man, goddamn, my god.
You send him a thank you email.
Yeah,
Huh?
honestly.
Send him a thank you email. Say sorry for what you've gone through, Dr. Fauci. You're a Chad. Here's a nice email.
Funny you say that. A lot of the emails are like thank you emails. Like it's pretty funny.
That's good. Oh, that's
Really?
at least
Okay.
somewhat heartwarming. That's the nice side to this issue.
Yeah, but then there were also some like hate emails.
I mean, obviously,
One was ended. God's watching. So it's like yeah.
Okay.
But no, yeah, definitely your brain definitely controls you. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
He probably gets trolled by Trump because Trump is banned from like Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Like Trump,
Yeah, he is.
like, can you imagine? Like he's just whatever he would have tweeted at Fauci, he just emails him.
Oh shit! Yeah. Honestly, I don't think Trump knew how to use his email. I mean, the man had a button for Diet Coke, so fuck, who knows?
I heard I think I don't know whether it's a nonsense story, that the aspartame sweetener they use in Diet Coke does lead to neurological damage in your brain. I don't know how there's any levity to that statement.
Well, I mean, aspartame as an artificial sweetener, your body can't break it down. So like it just tastes like sugar and it just passes through your body as aspartame and it comes out your poop as aspartame. In regards to like causing neurological damage, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I assumed it was just some kind of nutjob conspiracy theory, but it seemed interesting.
Shit,
I mean,
I
a
don't
lot
know.
of people consume aspartame, and a lot of people aren't like that.
Fuck, I consume 12 packs of aspartame a day. Fuck, yeah. I
Jesus.
just want Diet Coke. A lot of Diet Coke, yeah.
Diet Pepsi. I'm a Diet Pepsi person. I Diet Coke tastes like water.
I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna have
No,
the syrup.
I'm sorry.
I need the
Coke is
syrup.
way better than Pepsi. Like, I will push back on Pepsi real hard.
I will destroy
Pepsi's
you all and
disgusting.
say water is better than any of those sugar drinks.
Diet Coke tastes like liquid sticky,
Profits.
especially the caffeine free.
Counterpoint.
Oh, no,
Water
I
gang,
think
Stabs.
like
Water
my
gang.
mom-
Counterpoint,
Diet
Dr.
Coke's
Pepper.
I mean, I'm a seltzer mostly. I'm a seltzer-holic.
Dr. Pepper is pretty bomb.
Yeah,
I
Dr.
don't know if
Pepper
that
is the
falls
shit.
under Coke or Pepsi. They're kind of like their own
It's Coke,
entity.
right? Coca-Cola
Well,
Company.
Like diet and regular are like two different universes. Like regular Coke, I don't drink much soda. I almost never drink a sugar soda. But if I drink a diet, it's going to be Diet Pepsi or cherry Diet Pepsi.
True.
Now,
Seriously,
did your brain decide that you're going to drink Diet Pepsi, or did external circumstances decide that you're going to drink Diet Pepsi?
We're already inside.
External
Let's make we decide.
circumstances.
Talk, you sound like a real like nuanced Andy over here.
Well, in high school, we had the vending
That's
machine
one,
in my
Max.
gym that was just Pepsi. So maybe that was because I used to be anorexic in high school, and I would just have Diet Pepsi for lunch. And had it been a Diet Coke machine, maybe I would have gone that way. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, no, but
Not
seriously.
so much
no,
control
I-
there, feline father.
What?
I don't know about Dr. Pepper, but I do know Dr. Heamed Out streams every morning 5:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. on
Hey.
twitch.tv/Dr. Heamed Out.
You son of a
And it's
bitch.
way better for your health too.
What time
I
zone is it?
mean,
That's true.
All right. Since
5:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's so early.
It's
That's
just
what
like it's just when I
until
start
2
work,
a.m.
so
That's
it's
a great
perfect.
time to start
How you do a
Wait.
shameless plug?
Listen, I have nothing against that. Plug yourself as much as you can. No problem with that. Okay, since we already found an answer to this topic, which is like the stomach control everything.
yes.
I just have like real quick. Okay, I know I shouldn't do that, but like, feline and Doc, have you looked into hydroxychloroquine, like the
Yeah.
claim linked to
Yes.
COVID?
Yep.
All right.
I haven't. No, I'll
Why are
be
you
straight up.
opening
I
this can of
haven't.
worms?
Wow.
There's a
Team bike
senator
doctor.
recently who got like banned or something like that because he recommended like hydroxychloroquine. Uh,
I mean, there've been like multiple like large volume studies and meta-analyses about the effects of hydroxychloroquine on SARS-CoV-2, and it does literally nothing. Like the fact
Yes.
that it had some positive influence on like a previous strain of another coronavirus, and it was like, well, this is a coronavirus, so it should do the same thing. Absolute nonsense. Clinical trials show nothing.
I don't
so-
know if I think there has been some more studies. I haven't looked into them though. I don't know the outcomes of those studies, but I would assume that there must be some. I don't know. Like it all depends. Like it's a therapeutic, right? Like ideally, you want people not to get the virus at all, as opposed to wait until they get it to then deal with it and like come up with a therapeutic. So yeah, it's just hard to tell because like everyone has their own unique response to COVID anyways. So it's kind of be hard to tell like how effective I guess it would be in a short-term clinical study. I don't know how trustworthy any study either way would be on that.
Yeah, so I can slam dunk this real quick. So TLDR of it, long-term studies, like long-term, like 6 months, like retroactive, like looking at like how it has affected people, has shown that it has had zero positive effects. In fact, it's had nothing but negative effects. A lot of like arrhythmias coming out of it. If you didn't know, hydrochloroquine is a terrible, terrible medication. Like and people taking the doses they've been taking it has been causing like some really bad cardiac issues. I'm also just saying this too. Ivermectin, don't fucking take ivermectin. Again, same deal. Chloroquine, the anti-parasitic, don't take it. It has a very, 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 very thin therapeutic index, and you can easily overdose on it, and super toxic. Anything else you can also think of too in regards to like a COVID-19 cure, it's all been bullshit. Any kind of study that has pointed towards it being like effective has been the worst constructed study you've ever seen in your life. And if anything, the data that has been coming out of it has been coming out of India, which is not the best place for a peer-reviewed double-blind study, believe it or not. And in fact, the Indian government just recently, at a federal level, their health agency updated recommendations to say, don't take hydrochloroquine, don't take ivermectin, only take recommended therapeutics in this list, and none of the quote-unquote miracle cures are on it. Wow.
Well, I'm sure people there are probably trying anything because they can't get vaccines.
Yeah, and like also like I don't want to like because like I can get those holes real quick about how like physicians are not like researchers and they're not scientists. And in fact, they're the primary source of a lot of misinformation in this because they're highly susceptible to their own confirmation bias. But I'll leave that as it is because I get real heated talking about that shit.
Also, please, everyone watching, if you're able to get vaccinated, please take the vaccine.
Please, yes.
Thank you.
Do it.
Vaccinated.
Real quick, Doc. You know what? I asked you this in private, but I think this is a question that people might ask, like when it comes to vaccine and everything. Is there a difference between, like, for instance, Moderna and Pfizer and any other brand?
Listen, full disclosure, I want to say I'm not a medical doctor, so I do not take my advice on this shit.
What?
But like as far as I know, they're both mRNA vaccines that are infused in a lipid, you know, and as I don't know the differences between them, but they both seem to be very effective, and they're both mRNA, and I haven't heard any issues between them. So yeah, I don't know. I would consult your local physician rather than anybody online.
Yeah, no. The reason I thought is because the reason I asked is because
Is it
I mean,
Like
you-
I do
you've looked
cancer, I
into
do
this shit
yeah,
and
like I
everything.
do cancer research, but yeah, like I hesitate to ever speak on anything that's outside of my expertise when it comes to science, and I think most people should take that advice. So like, yeah.
Are the
Okay.
Oxford and Janssen vaccines mRNA as well?
No.
No. Okay. Cool.
Oh, sorry. I can hit that real quick too. AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, they are adenovirus-mediated vaccinations, which means that the vehicle they use to do it is a adenovirus, which has been manufactured to only just deliver the thing, right? Essentially, what it is delivering a DNA molecule into the cell, into the nucleus of a cell. The DNA molecule codes for a creation of mRNA molecules, and the mRNA molecules code for the spike protein. The Moderna, Pfizer, those are mRNA vaccinations. There isn't much difference between them, other than the temperature in which they can be stored. Moderna has a higher temperature at which it can be stored, and for me, that tells me that it's a more stable molecule. But they are essentially the same thing. There's not much difference between them. They both require 2 doses. The AstraZeneca requires 2 doses. Johnson & Johnson's 1. Also, any stories you hear or read in regards to like them causing any kind of like disease or anything like that, they're not. It's not because of the vaccine. I can also slam dunk this real quick in regards to the AstraZeneca one causing a certain extremely rare blood clotting disorder in females ages between 25 to 35 that has nothing to do with the vaccine as much as it does with the size of the actual molecule. We see the same kind of like super rare blood clotting disease and with other medication. Other than like that, with like Pfizer and Moderna, there's been nothing linked. There's been nothing like substantiated, and they are super safe. And they are probably some of the best vaccinations we have ever produced in human history. And going forward, they're going to be the standard of how we deal with vaccinations and medical.
Yeah. Just wanted to precise. I didn't ask that as like medical advice, like and everything. I just wanted to have like I mean, I know you looked into like vaccine and stuff like that because I think that it's a question that is like coming up a lot. So
Yeah.
I thought you might have looked into this.
No, I think best practice is to not listen to anybody online and definitely consult your actual doctors or hospital staff. Like they will definitely know and trust whatever they say. That's like generally when I speak on issues, whether it's economics or science or whatever, I love to lean on expert opinion because I trust the expertise in any field. So yeah, just go with that. That's best practice.
All right. Yeah, true. And with that being said, I think we're going to jump into the last topic. Oh, God. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want to, like, it's just the discourse of the week, you know? You get to follow the trend.
I am open to a different topic if people would rather do something different.
What is the topic?
Wait.
You didn't even read it?
It's about MILFs.
So the the last topic is MILF a slur?
Is there anyone who thinks that it is? Is there anyone who thinks that it is?
So we're going to go in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is anybody who thinks it is?
Not particularly respectful, but there are slurs and there are slurs.
Sabs, you do?
Yeah.
Are you ready to defend it?
I started with no, it's not, and then I actually did some research and ended up saying, yeah, it actually.
So convince us.
I mean, it is a slur because it is pejorative because it objectifies women in particular, and it shouldn't be said without the other person's consent.
That doesn't make it a slur, though. That just makes it rude. Like.
I mean, a slur, it is a pejorative or a slur is a word or grammatical form of expressing a negative or a disrespectful connotation, a low opinion, or lack of respect for someone, towards someone or something, to express criticism, hostility, or disregard. And in this regard, I lean on my reasoning of how it objectifies women as just sexual objects, and that is why it's a slur.
So you're saying that. So wait, sorry. So you're saying that the part of the slur is that it disregards the person that it's being used against, and that because MILF is objectifying, then that is disregarding.
Yeah, of the person's person
that it's being used against. So, but then wouldn't that would be the case with basically any descriptor almost, no?
No.
I think the argument I would make is that I think that even though it does stand for Mum I'd Like to Fuck, I do think that it has taken on more than just that particular connotation, right? People don't use it specifically in the objectifying context. It can just mean this person is attractive and is an older woman.
I mean, that is why I mentioned that without the consent of the other person.
Like to say, that woman over there is a MILF or something like that. That would be the slur, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think people
Seems like
in
interesting
actual
that it
common
means that
parlance.
mothers
Sorry,
aren't
go for it.
supposed to be attractive. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't want to talk over you.
I was going to say, I think in common parlance, people just use it as a replacement for this person is attractive and is also older than I am. Like, I don't think people are using it in
I
such a
mean, then you
specifically
can
objectifying
say
context. You know?
that instead of just of saying MILF, you know?
That's a mouthful,
Like
though.
MILF is in itself objectifying, whereas you can just say,
It is
oh, that woman
objectifying
is
for sure.
attractive.
Yeah, it is
You know?
objectifying for sure, but then maybe we could just like I typically like to avoid objectifying language anyways, and like I don't know, I would never walk down the street with my friend and be like, "Yo, look, there's a MILF over there." Like I find that cringe. But like, what about if you?
Is it the consent aspect of it, Sebs? Like, is it just the consent part of it? Is it just like the consent part of it? That's the.
It's not like just that, but it's part of that, you know, because like
Okay.
I think it's
I guess
justification.
because like between like the N word is a slur, but between like black people they can say it because there's like an understanding and there's a consent, you know. But yeah,
like if I was at Walmart and like I saw a guy from. If I was at Walmart and I saw a guy like across the hallway, I was like, man, I would love to play mini golf with that motherfucker. I would love it. He looks like he would be great at mini golf. Would that be like objectifying that person?
There's a
no.
little difference, isn't there? Because
I mean, there's a difference.
Is mini golf like
it's not sexual?
I'm confused.
one you would say in someone's face, and the other one you probably wouldn't.
Hmm?
I mean, semantically, maybe there's a definition of slur that this doesn't fit into. Like, you know, it's not really about an objective characteristic or anything, obviously subjective judgment. But like, I think that probably the test of like a term that would be considered offensive is probably would you say it to someone's face? Hey, oh, you're a MILF. Wow. Like it's
I guess maybe Seb's convincing me.
Yeah. Again,
I
I
girlfriend
started
all the time.
yeah, with your girlfriend, there is some kind of consent there.
Yeah, because if you
know,
walk
and
up to if you walk up
understand
to, I would assume that if any of us walked up to
a random
90% of women in between their 30s and 50s that look attractive, and we're like, "Yo, you're a MILF," a lot of them would probably be offended. I think.
Well, not where I live.
And it became MILF, not TILF, not parents I'd like to fuck. It was very much directed at women, and it seems to be kind of like arguing by implication that mothers are not sexy. This is an exception.
Like, I mean, DILF is in common parlance as well. Like
yeah, but still,
DILF has grown a lot.
But we still live in a society where women tend to be more sexualized and objectified than men. You know.
Okay, but it doesn't change the fact that DILF is becoming more and more prominent. You know, in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Wait, one sec. But if one sec. If we can agree that MILF is a slur, then we can talk about DILF too.
What about GILF?
Yeah.
GILF?
Yeah, right. So
like.
So wait, they are slurs.
A slur. I mean, what's a slur? Like slur.
Again,
like,
they are objectifying people, so technically,
So
yeah. But there is an understanding of but there is still an understanding that we live in a society that women are have been historically objectified and sexualized and objectified, and that is why MILF is like way more like aggressive or objectifying than say DILF or or whatever. You know?
If we change it around a little bit, say for
example,
example,
you got to play it even on both sides. You got to play it even on both sides. If you're gonna say MILF is, you got to say DILF is as well.
DILF is objectifying also.
That'll be better.
For a degree, but still.
So
there you go. That's better.
So would you say that calling someone a hottie, for example, would you call that a slur because it's technically objectifying?
Yeah, I think so. You could say that.
If you by that same logic.
Yeah, like maybe we should just avoid.
We should avoid.
Never tell anyone they're attractive ever again.
Yeah. I mean, wait. How often do people do that, anyways? Most of the time.
I thought a slur was like something negative, like.
Yeah, like
I
understand the objectifying concept.
Wait, what's that feline? The thing is, it can be negative. If you walk up to a girl and you're like, "Holy shit, you got a fucking fat ass," whatever, the girl might feel uncomfortable by the fact that a strange person is walking up, and although you're complimenting them, you're still putting them in an uncomfortable situation.
I mean,
so it doesn't really matter.
I mean, it doesn't make it a slur.
Perspective of the person who's saying it. Because like if I call
I'm talking a stranger, yeah, of course. If you walk up to someone you know or someone that loves you and you say that, that's totally different.
That's
But
why I mentioned the part
okay.
of consent,
Yeah,
because
yeah, that's
when you
why.
are within strangers, there is no consent there, so it's a slur.
But
Okay, I get that.
couldn't a girl be considered like? Couldn't they be uncomfortable if you go up to them and be like, "Oh my God, you're gorgeous! Like you're such a pretty woman,"
Yeah,
right?
You probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, that's what I'm
I-
You
saying.
probably
Yeah.
shouldn't compliment random people in public.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't.
But
What about,
the
excuse me,
context of
madam,
a random
you
person doesn't mean
Maybe
that-
don't focus on their
Wait,
physical
wait, wait,
appearance.
wait, wait. Real quick. Javier, go ahead.
I think parts of speech matter. I think calling someone a something is to me, I like that less because it's reductive. I think saying to someone you're gorgeous, like I don't want it. Like I was saying to No Justice, it was kind of during the what do you call it, brackets. So it probably didn't. I don't know if anyone heard it, but I'm like, Bill Maher is one of those guys. Like, you can't compliment women anymore, man. We don't know the rules. Like, it's not like that. There's a time and a place, and then there are ways. And yeah, our views have to evolve on what's appropriate. If you're in a bar that is known to be a singles bar where people are maybe open to being approached, and you go up to someone and say you're gorgeous, I think that's fine. If someone came up to me and said you're a hottie, I'd be a little, I'd be like, okay, that's you're labeling me as a thing, you're putting me in a box, and you're being way superficial about it. I like that less. What I have to say about that.
I agree.
So, like,
that
it'd be
I agree
okay-
that there
it'd be
is.
okay for me-
Just bear with us one sec.
No
Sorry.
Justice.
Yeah, so I agree that there are it is definitely contextual as to whether these things are acceptable or not. I 100% agree. But just because there are some contexts where acceptable and then some where it's not, does not make it a slur in the case where it's not acceptable. I would say it's rude. Like,
It is like in what you're saying, that there are certain contexts where it is and there isn't. Like, there is two actually lists of slurs, ethnic and religious slurs in Wikipedia, and some of them are specific to certain countries and certain parts. So context does matter, and they are still slurs,
So okay, so like in regards to context and like where you're saying it, like so it'd be okay for me to call someone a MILF at my kid's soccer game, right? Like if I'm like walking up to like a single mom.
No.
No.
Only if you're the coach. Only if you're the coach.
Hey, good thing I am. Huh?
Oh my God.
Well, no, so like I see where No Justice is coming from though, right? Because like where's the delineating factor between like a slur and then just like an expletive, right? So like if I were to call someone like a douchebag, is that a slur?
But douchebag isn't specifically related to
That's
who
an
they
insult.
are, right? Whereas MILF is
Right, what's
specifically
the
related to
difference?
an older woman who was attractive, right? But I still don't think that that's enough of an individual category demographic of people that we could constitute as a slur, right? That's my point of view.
Well, again,
Yeah.
it's like a
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I don't
regarded
consider it a slur.
pejorative in some social or ethnic group, but not in others. So the fact that it targets specifically women, it makes
But it only targets specifically women because of the nature of the etymology of the phrase, right? The fact that it has mother in the title, the fact that we can then adapt that to mean dilf or gilf or pilf or whatever.
I mean, it's still,
I mean, it's true. Like I could refer to Doc Team out as a MILF.
And I would tell you that that's offensive. Don't talk about my looks.
Well, no, but no, that's the nature of it, right? Like like using that isn't just like locked into like just hot moms, right? Like I could be like, oh,
I mean, I suppose, yeah, if you really want to.
I mean, yeah, but again, the only reason why there is such thing as a deal for bilf or whatever, it's because there was women started being objectified, and like in response, or we're not objectifying women, this deal exists, and it's like bullshit,
Well, I understand that, and there's plenty of situations where most situations where objectification is bad, and there are some certain contexts where people might be complimented by it, right? But there is at least some amount of positive messaging within these terms, because you're highlighting a quality that you perceive as good in another person, unlike, say, the T slur or the N slur or anything like that, which are exclusively used by one group to denigrate another.
I don't know if MILF is necessarily it, because you're basically saying, wow, even though you're a mom, I would still fuck you. Like, that's kind of how it comes
Is that really
off a
what
lot of
that's
the
suggesting?
time.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I'm gonna agree with No Justice here.
I don't know. Okay.
There's a delineation. There's certainly categories, and some are worse than others. And I don't,
Sure.
for, again, semantics.
Can I offer a little bit of pushback? Again, just to play devil's advocate.
Uh-oh.
All right, so don't you think that like basically like the term MILF like create an expectation? Like we have like so in terms of like society speaking, we have this expectation for women to have like children like at a certain point, like when they're like in their 30s and everything. And creating like basically using this the term MILF.
I see what you mean there, Max. But the fact that
yeah,
it's
like
specific
basically
to that
like
individual
it's not
demographic,
just
right?
used like for mother.
Whereas
like
with the MILF and
people
DILF thing,
call
it's
Yeah,
any
yeah.
category can be labeled as something like
Mm.
the
Yeah.
fuck. Whereas that
Don't you think
specific
that it
instance you're
plays
talking
into this?
about is
Yeah, it kind of
related
puts the
to a
pressure on
singular
let's say a
individual.
35-year-old woman who doesn't have a kid, and now someone's like, "Yo, you're a MILF, you're a MILF." You're like, "What the fuck? I don't even have a kid." Like, this is I'm like categorized into this box.
But it's,
And,
at least so it's
uh,
contextually rude. That's my point. Like, I don't think it
Yeah.
specifically like counts as a slur, right? But again, it depends
Yeah,
on
but again,
how
it
we
doesn't matter
count
that it-
slurring
Right, but
in
fuck,
terms of common
fuck
parlance.
doesn't
Like,
fuck is the same thing. Context, it depends on context.
so if the argument to
But the
this
word
is should
fuck
we
can be
not
used
be
as
rude,
adjective,
I agree.
adverb, like
Exactly, and it depends on
Fuck's
context.
such an
like-
amazing word.
Yeah,
No
it is.
justice. Sorry, no justice. You were saying.
Well, I'm saying if the argument to this is, well, if there are certain things where in context things can be rude or not, then you should just don't be rude to people. Like, that's fine. Like, if that's the contention, then I absolutely agree.
Well, typically things that one of the things that would fall into a context of a category of words that you can only say in front of some people and not others would be
Max,
slurs.
I'm muted in the group chat.
Right, like other language,
the stream
you're
is playing
comfortable
the whole
to
thing.
just say it in front
It's
of
playing
everyone. It
both
doesn't
noises.
matter. It's not offensive. You're muted. I don't know if you're trying to respond.
Sorry, someone in my chat was bringing up something up.
This is like kind of a ridiculous comment because we all agree that if you're friends with someone and you're cool with them and you know they would be okay with you saying MILF, that's fine. So we're just imagining like some hypothetical guy who just like runs up to some girl and says, "Hey, MILF."
I don't think it's as hypothetical as you think it is.
I mean, it's like
I don't think it happens that often.
You guys are such
what's
males.
the
Oh my
percentage?
god.
What's the
Oh my
I would
god,
say,
I love
I
him
would
right
say,
now.
I would say, like at least 80% of women have been catcalled to some degree, like on a regular basis.
yeah, catcalling for sure.
Oh
Well, this is a form of
Are you a
catcalling.
It's a form of
Yeah.
catcalling. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and catcalling is bad. Like, I think we can all
I
agree
mean,
that catcalling is bad.
Yeah, MILF. Yeah, totally. I've never considered MILF on that level as catcalling.
Definitely, for
Like, I
sure.
guess-
I think it is.
But again, it's
What about, like,
there are
locker
some
room
contexts
talk?
where it is
Mhm.
catcalling and some where it isn't. Like, there's a difference between running
And I
up to
mean,
someone
like,
and
you
calling
also
them a
have
MILF,
to-
Okay,
right?
using it in that specific context of a catcall is what I think is like the rare thing. Like using it as specifically as a catcall, I think is like not.
But still,
Well, so
even
you-
if it's only used in some context, the definition of slur, it says in some or all contexts. Like the thing that is, in some and some don't, it's still not an argument against it being a slur.
Okay. But
I mean, if you
then
also think
literally
like how-
anything could be a
Wait.
slur.
I want to throw it to Feline, and after that, how do the
Hell yeah. Like you, in the context of it being like an insult, right? So like if I was like, Doc came out, your mom's a fucking MILF, right? I'm not saying that because I might not be saying that because she's super hot. I may be saying that just to like try and piss off Doc because like, hey, I want to fuck your mom, right? Like it's not always.
It's not a slur when he's trying to piss me off. I see. Listen, I want to know how many times Fauci said MILF in his emails. Elon, tell us.
At least
It's
twice.
redacted.
Oh my god.
He's
Redacted.
extremely horny, man. You would be surprised.
That's the thing though. We're all literally making MILF jokes right now. Like that's when
Yeah.
it's fine. You know what I mean?
Like basically, if I'm following the logic correctly, like anything could be considered a slur, right? If someone takes it offensively, right? Literally anything could be a slur. Like if I walk up to a girl in a bar, or let's just say the grocery store, right? And I'm like, hey, you know what? Your hair looks really good today, and I think you're beautiful.
It is
right?
No, it has to be. There has to be some. It has to be pejorative to specifically a social or ethnic group, and it has to be like disrespectful again. And because it objectifies specifically women, I already discussed the DILF argument. Shut up. It is a slur.
I still
I don't like
disagree
what
that
you
it's necessarily
There,
denigrating.
by the way,
right?
I left the link of the definition of slur that I'm using in the voice text. If you want to check it out,
Bro,
it's
I'm gonna spell my
again
first name, so-
Wikipedia article. But
But
yeah.
I still disagree that that I think there are plenty of instances where it's contextually and not denigration, right? Like, for example, if you compare it to, say, for example, the T slur, which only exists as a way of which to be a pejorative against trans people. Like, there's no positive messaging that can be sent from this particular phrase. Whereas, if you look at a term like MILF or DILF, these are things that contextually can be rude, can be objectifying, quite a lot of cases, in fact, with regards to objectifying, just because they're...
I've seen trans people
So
call themselves that
Yes,
to
but that's
each other.
different.
So wait,
Yeah,
is your
that is
definition of-
why
what's it- yeah, wait.
contextually.
So no
Sorry.
justice. Your definition of a slur is something that's always offensive.
I mean, that's what the definition that Sebs was talking about, right? That it's necessarily
No,
about
Seb said
denigration.
sometimes
No.
or always.
Okay, sure.
In
Yeah, yeah.
some
So
or
this
all
would be
contexts.
one that
Yeah.
falls under the sometimes category, right? I guess that's the argument.
I don't
here.
know. Yeah, I mean, I just disagree, I guess, on the definition of a slur, because I would go with the majority of the time it is considered, bad and taken, not in a good context. So, like, we're just gonna, like, I look at slur as, the majority of the time it has a negative connotation to it, where,
Wait, but one sec.
clearly.
I would say that maybe the N word now in today gets probably used more as
shit.
as a
shit.
complimentary term to refer to someone as it would a pejorative. Would you still apply the same and say that because the context has changed now that it's no longer a slur?
But why has that
No.
happened?
Well,
Right?
it's
There's historical precedent to why that's happened. Unlike, I would agree with, I would say it's different with a term like MILF or DILF.
And there is historical precedent of women being objectified and sexualized.
I agree, but that doesn't mean that you
God
can
bless.
like. That doesn't mean that in between people who. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
go
what
ahead.
about the context in which MILF came to be? Like, where it came from?
I think that's Seb's point,
Does that
right?
not
That
matter?
it comes from a history
acronym?
of women being objectified and being only valued through aesthetic means, right?
Yeah.
That's Seb's
Because it came from
point.
the porn industry, if you're wondering.
It didn't come from porn actually.
Where did,
So,
so
yeah,
do you know
I'm
where?
messed
Do you know
up.
specifically where it came from, Sebs?
Hmm?
Do you know specifically where it came from? Because I have no idea.
Oh, I had looked it up. I already forgot, but I remember it wasn't for porn. It was massively like popularized by American Pie and like
Hmm.
before after it was conceived, but before American Pie, it was used in porn. But yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, a slur can be something that wasn't originally pejorative, but later adopt that sense, or
Okay.
or
Like the
vice
R
versa.
word, yeah. Mhm.
You know, yeah. Like for example, yeah, as Javier is saying, the R slur, like it wasn't a slur until it became one because it was so fucking used that way that
Quite.
Yeah, I guess we got to ban MILF now. Dang.
Yeah,
No,
shit.
I love
No,
MILF
no.
for today. Thanks a
Well,
lot.
I don't know if you have to ban
favorite
it. Like you
category,
can just
really.
acknowledge.
Yeah.
You can just acknowledge that it's like probably not the
not
greatest
the
thing in the
best
world.
word
Yeah.
to use.
I mean, the only time I really use it is in like my search history. That's about it.
Well, I think at the end of the day, I think it goes back to my earlier
True.
point. I don't think whether it's a slur or not. Like, just if it's rude to use it in the context that you just don't do it. Like, if it's rude, don't do
Yeah.
it. Don't be rude to people.
Do we all agree it's a rude term?
Well, there are plenty of contexts
depends
where
on what
where it
context.
is. Yeah. Like, you know, you
I mean,
don't
unless you're
catcall
saying it,
people with it. Don't come up to people randomly with it. Like, understand the relationship you have with someone before you use it. Like, sure. But then again, there's
And
plenty
same
of other
with
words we talk about that. Like,
any other word. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
well,
it
what
all
about-
boils. Sorry, you
Uh,
go, Javier.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Well, I was gonna say to respond to No Justice. Like, does it matter? Like, is it ever okay if I'm just with my best friend and we both know we're woke as fuck and we're just we talk about someone who's not there and we refer to them and that with that word, is that okay, or is that because if someone had called someone
Are
what
we
I
about
would
to
think
have
of
the
as a
MILF
slur,
in?
I'd be like, hey, not cool.
Are we
I
about
mean,
to have
it
the
would
MILF
be-
in private discourse?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it would be
Someone
better
invite-
for
someone
you to
invite
use
Destiny.
other word, but
Here he comes. Destiny's gonna come in 5 seconds.
oh my
Watch.
god! Oh,
He just hears his ears are buzzing right now.
I have to correct somebody on the internet. Yeah.
All right. Can I offer some pushback?
Yeah,
oh my
please.
god!
Go ahead, Mr.
All right.
Geek.
Sure.
So if we all agree that basically, okay, so first of all, everyone agree that like it's okay between friends and everything between people who you know, but it's not okay in general to use it. Is there someone who disagree with this statement that you wouldn't go to a
Maybe.
stranger?
Like,
You
I mean, like if I was with someone who I loved and adored in private and they said the N word, I'd be like, oh, whoa, where did that come from? And then I'd like say something. So maybe like I honestly don't like the word MILF kind of bothers me. I probably would say something. I wouldn't say it like I wouldn't have the same reaction, but I'd be like, why are you using that word?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, but like yeah, the main idea is that basically it's a okay. Does everyone agree that basically it's a bad word?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not like bad word, but yeah, I mean,
Oh
No,
my
it's not
god!
a bad word. It's not a
You
bad
understand
word.
the meaning. It's not something that carries like usually.
Yeah, we all have that basically same understanding. Don't try to explain it.
You don't go
more.
to a stranger basically and say, "Yo, you're a milf" or something like that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
Again, I just feel
All right.
like characterizing.
Here's a question. Wait, let me ask one more question. Let me ask one more question. Let's say you're walking by yourself, you see a woman that's in that age group, whatever you want to assume, and she doesn't have a kid though. Is it unethical for you to think in your head to yourself, internal dialogue, if you have that
Dialogue. Oh, you're a galaxy.
You think
fan.
like she make a real good MILF, you know?
like is that a rude categorization? It must be, right? We should probably not do that.
Yes.
like
Stop
look
thinking.
at someone and try to figure whether
him.
they have kids or not. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's rude.
exactly. Yeah, that definitely got to be wrong, right?
I mean, yeah, you're assuming things that you don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
We have words like matronly to describe someone's physicality, and I don't think patronly is a word. Like we have an image, a cultural image of what a mother looks like. Like it's certainly racialized, but even in the white majority, we have and I think that's all very
Sim-
sexist.
I would say in my a generation, I would definitely say we all have the same idea of what a mother is. Like Dexter's Laboratory and Pixar really ruined it for us, and like giving like the moms those really big dumpy asses, like it really ruined it for us. So like I would say like within my generation, that's definitely like the idea of like the hot mom, and everyone's burning everyone's mind. Yeah.
Stacy's mom.
This is Robbie.
That was a joke. I was just trying to like throw out a joke. I'm really inappropriate. Guys. I thought it was funny. though.
Stacy's dad, actually.
I know everyone was thinking it.
There you go.
All right.
We're gonna finish that point, Geek. Did you have like a ender to that?
Yeah, I just wanted to basically this is like my question, my personal question. Okay, let's say that we all agree that it's a bad word. You understand what I mean? That is something
Yeah,
that
it-
carries like okay. If we all agree with this, but okay, my problem with this is that basically, like, I think there's a stigma around being like a single mother. Like, if you're like a single mother, like before it was literally a death, like socially a death sentence.
And sex, life, death sentence.
Yeah. Now with the term MILF, we created like this category where like well, at least we talk about it, let's say. At least it's not ignored, it's not like a death
Sure.
sentence anymore. So even if we agree that it's a bad word, the fact that it has like, I'm not going to say a positive impact, but at least okay, let's say a positive impact. Do you think that it can justify the use or like, basically
No.
this is how I would phrase it.
No, because it's not single mother I'd like to be in a relationship and take care of her kids
Yeah.
with. It's usually like,
I
hey,
mean-
I'll fuck that woman or whatever, but I never want to meet her kids. Like, we're not at that level
Speak
yet.
for
I think.
yourself, Heathen.
Yeah.
I
my
do not
God.
have premarital sex.
Do you think there are women in like their
Sure.
30s or 40s who like think of that, use that, like think of, like in their minds, use that to make them feel attractive? Like
Oh,
8% of
absolutely.
maybe away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
What do you mean? How
If
so?
my younger sister says anything, then yes.
I mean,
Because,
like,
I don't know
better
what
than
Big
being
said.
yes,
I don't
no?
how many
understand
women
what Big
Again,
Jesus
said.
it
said
comes
no,
back to
fucking
the
stick
part of
yourself.
consent.
You
We
know?
internalize stuff like that, sure. Like, cougar, all that stuff.
Mm. True. I think it can have a positive connotation for like the female who's using it. Like, and that's the only situation where it could have like a positive connotation.
Yeah, some
It
kind
ain't-
No, in
of
general.
reappropriation in a reappropriation sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, again, context matter.
Oh, of course. Yeah, context matters in everything.
Consent.
Yeah,
and-
and everything. Yeah. That's
You
like
see
that's like
Soft feminine Smilton BR. Single mother I'd like to be in a relationship with.
hey,
So
true.
remember,
my
you're
God.
talking about something that's very, very touchy. Like, as women age, because so much value is placed on women's youth and beauty. As women age, we society traditionally sees them more valuable. We internalize that. We see ourselves more valuable. And I don't have any children, but like I certainly know enough people who have had children to know that it's a big sensitive thing for them to feel like they're losing their body, their beauty. When they have children, they feel like they're losing their youth. I know that I read that, it was one of Donald Trump's conditions on Melania. She wanted to have a baby. He's like, you best not let your body go. Like, that's obviously extreme example, but it is emblematic. So,
100%.
when you're talking about anything to do with motherhood, age for women, that's extremely touchy. So I can't remember what I'm saying that in response to, but yeah, touchy.
Shit, and even like unironically, right? Like in regards to like the male and female like libido, like we completely miss each other. Males like they're like in their sexual prime early in their younger age, but women don't like come into their sexual prime until like their early 30s, right? So like honest to God, like we miss each other completely in regards to like male and female like sexual libidos, and women really come into like their own like later on in life when men are like more like dopey now and we need Viagra and shit. Like it's definitely something to be said about that. You know?
I mean, like
my
the
God.
idea the idea in straight relationships that it's been kind of been the norm that younger women go out with older men. I think has usually been the age kind of parallel there. Which is completely the opposite to how feline father is stated there, and it seems like that's completely incongruent.
Yeah. And that's why everyone should be gay, honestly.
True.
True. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like that's why I support sugar mamas out there. I'm single, ready to
Oh
mingle.
my God, same. Just saying. I'm also bi, so I accept sugar daddies, also sugar MBs. I'm down. I'm poor. I need that cash, that
Glucose
money.
Just any
Darling.
sugar
to give it
factory.
to give it to Mr. Geek. So remember to subscribe, everyone. Just saying,
All right. And I think this is a good point to end.
True.
Unless someone wants to add something, but I think we've been around this topic. All right. Let's do into quick closing statement and shout out. Basically, tell people where they can find you and everything. And before we do that, two people I need to thank. First of all, Danabo, who is the one who you got in touch with to book this panel. He's doing an amazing work behind the scene. Not for me, but not just for me, but for a lot of content creators. So yeah, big shout out to him. And second of all, my co-host Binks. You can find him on Twitch, twitch.tv underscore. Fuck me. Twitch.tv/Binks underscore BB. I did it. All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's go into closing statement and shout out. Let's start with No Justice.
Yeah, so I think a lot of this particular topic is predicated on how one defines a slur. Both obviously I understand what the dictionary definition is, but there's also like the common parlance definition and the way it kind of has some kind of social utility. But at the end of the day, what we've all kind of agreed on at the very least is that there are plenty of contexts where this particular term is rude, and you just shouldn't say it. And again, with all these things, try and find some level of consent before you say these kind of words. And that could apply to plenty of things which could be objectifying in some contexts, right? That's fine. As for my own personal things, you find me at no_justice_mtg on Twitter, Twitch, and Linktree. My YouTube has a random URL, so you can find it from the Linktree as well. Please follow me on all of those platforms if you like. Oh, and also on TikTok as well. I'm on TikTok.
All right. Dr. Heimdall.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's always cool to, bounce ideas off of other creators and whatnot. Thanks to Danabo for doing a great job of putting these panels together. Coming up with the subjects, meh, you can do better. No, I'm just kidding. For real though, thanks for having me on. You can always check out my content on YouTube or on Twitch at Dr. Heimdall. And I stream Monday to Friday, 5:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern, and a lot of these wonderful people are always in my chat, either yelling at me, especially Sebs, or agreeing with my base takes, like Feline Father. And yeah, it's always a good time. So come check it out. Home of the Beard Cam, yada, yada, yada. You know the drill.
All right. I'm going to throw it to Habias Humor.
The one thing I'd say to sum up is just consider through the lens, the intersectional lens, anytime you're thinking about whether something is a slur, anytime you're thinking whether you should be like filtering what you say for offensiveness, just remember that we live in a white supremacist capitalist patriarchy. And I actually add Christian to that because I think we also live in a Christian supremacist in the U.S. society in the USA.
Dave.
Sorry,
I was just complimenting you.
Oh, thanks. I wasn't sure. No worries. So yeah, just before you talk, it's kind of just all a matter of that. I am. My channel is Habeas Humor. It's an audio podcast. HabeasHumor.com is my site where you can find everything. The next thing I'm going to be coming out with is because Derek Chauvin's sentencing is coming up on the 26th. I'm going to be releasing some videos just going over, the likely outcomes and just the deets of the motions and appeals and all that. So please follow me for all that. And thank you, Dylan, for hosting this. Thank you, Danabo, for reaching out to me. Thank you, Mr. Geek and Binks. And thank you to the rest of the panel. This has been great.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. I'm going to throw it to the person who, in my opinion, won tonight by talking all the time, North Countryman.
Yeah, so quite frankly, if you take a look at this chart here, this is just the ISLM thing. It's a money supply over price. As the economy grows, money supply increases as well. And if you don't simultaneously up the interest rate, which the Federal Reserve is hesitant to do, you see prices rise, which we're starting to see now with a 5% rise in consumer price index. So we're not in a panic mode yet of worrying about massive inflation, but it's something to keep an eye on what the Federal Reserve is going to do. They're trying to be cautious. They don't want to spook investors or slow the economy by raising the interest rates too much. But if they don't act soon, then we could start seeing massive inflation. And that's something important to talk about. Not this fucking bullshit.
And that's why we need communism.
True.
How about fucking no?
True.
Where can people find you, North Countryman?
On the throne in hell. Also, twitch.tv/North Countryman.
Hell yeah. I'm going to throw it to Feline Father.
Hey everybody, yeah, so in closing this topic, I do have one point to say. I think it is kind of like it doesn't help much to the conversations when you say things in regards to context matters and then also consent matters, because that's implied. We are all aware of this, right? And in saying those kinds of things, it kind of just detracts from the actual conversation. So feeling, hey everybody, in closing of who I am, Feline Father. Like I said, Twitch.tv. I do COVID-19 stuff like I've been doing over the last year. I do microbiology stuff. We also do a lot of like community-centric stuff. Mondays is community-based psychological first aid. We go through a chapter a day of this book that you can get from my Discord. Tuesdays we do first aid stuff through a FEMA program called CERT, which is community emergency response training. Really cool. Wednesdays is our community is like our community engagement stuff. Where if you have a community project that you want to get done within your wherever you're living, whether it's something as small as building a book exchange on your neighborhood, or if you want to get something changed within your revised statutes, I want to help you with it. Again, you can get that link to fill that out on my Discord. It doesn't even I don't even have to stream it. If you don't want to stream it, I still want to help you get that done. Tuesday is microbiology shit. And then Friday is COVID-19 AMA stuff. Like I said, I cannot stress enough how important these conversations are. I realize that some people don't think it's interesting and some people have more interests. But if you're brought into a panel with 3 questions and you already know 3 questions ahead of time, it doesn't help to the conversation to just shit on it. It doesn't make you look like an intellectual, big badass. It just makes you look like a douchebag. Because believe it or not, these conversations, these topics are extremely important to me because these are the reasons that researchers are currently getting death threats. These are the current reasons that researchers are getting their careers dragged through the mud. And these are the current reasons that researchers are getting called racial epithets, right? So if you want to shit on it, go right ahead, but you can also shit out your way out of this panel, all right? Again, I cannot express enough how important these things are. Please protect our researchers. Please stand up for them. And also, as the big thing I was going to drop during this is I just finished up a YouTube, my first YouTube video of my channel, Dr. Fauci's Noble Lie and how is a lie in itself. I go over how the actual Noble Lie thing is just bullshit. It's a thing that was perpetrated from some very wonderful researchers and how people have been taking been using a cut version of a 60 Minutes interview he did in March to infer some certain things that are just not true. So yeah, take a look at it. It's my YouTube channel. It's the same thing, Feline Father. I think it's pretty good. My first video, probably shit. I'm not very good at like talking about these things. I have a lot of crush words, but I highly suggest you take a look at it. So like I said, Feline Father, Twitch, just started a YouTube thing. And if you have any questions about COVID-19, feel free. My DMs are open. If I don't have the answer, I will research it for you, and I will come back to you with the answer. I promise. Thank you.
All right, and feel free to post the link of the video in chat. I'm going to throw it to Javias. Did you go?
Yes.
Okay, Sebzev.
Basically, don't be rude to people. Think before you talk, and words matter, actually. Also, I completely agree with Phil and Father, even though I started shitting on the topics. But yeah, also, thank you, Danabo, for your incredible work for the whole debate sphere here on Twitch. He's behind the scenes in a lot of he's helping a lot of content creators more than people think, and I appreciate him for that. Also, Mr. Geek, thank you for tolerating us being shitheads discussing random topics, even if they are super important. I know you have to deal with us every day, so yeah. And yeah, also I'm Sebsdev. You can find me on twitch.tv/Sebsdev. And yeah, I'm a leftist streamer. I talk about leftist shit all the time. And I am sometimes in Dr. Him's chat shitting on him. So yeah, fine. Also, give all your money to Mr. Geek right now in subscriptions, please.
Don't do that. Thank you for being here, Sebs. How do then, Zach?
Once again, as always, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. On this last topic, I didn't know exactly how many people were actually going to argue that MILF is a slur. So like that's fascinating to me. I guess contextually it could be, but I don't see it as a broad classification as a slur. As far as the first topic, I'm obviously not as passionate about, feline father over there, so I'm not going to bring like the fire. But I do think like it is an important conversation. I just think like the emails themselves like aren't actually like a huge deal, like they're not proving one side or the other, or I guess they're more proving one side than the other, I feel like one side's grasping for straws, which is fine. I am Hardwood Sock. You can find me on twitch.tv/hardwoodandsock. I am center right politically, and I enjoy the conversations, and I look forward to hopefully being back here again sometime. Thanks again, Geek. Thanks, Danabo. Thanks, Binks. Your one-liners are clutch, Binks. I love them.
Hell yeah. Real quick, Doc, how Netherlands, Ukraine, how much? Like what's
It's
the
we're still looking at 0-0 in the 18th minute, but Netherlands looking crisp, bro.
Oh, it only just kick off.
yeah.
Yeah, just 18 minutes ago.
Sick. I have something to watch this evening.
All right,
Soccer.
Binks,
Wow.
sorry, Binks, go ahead.
This is becoming a European show. We're changing the time to suit the Europeans, and now we're talking about football. So I guess that's the reality.
Thank you for
Yeah,
calling it football.
I did like double check in my mind to make sure I said the right word. Thanks to everybody. That was a fun show. I was kind of dreading the MILF topic, but that was probably my favorite one. That was pretty good. Thanks for everybody for showing up. Habeas, thank you for showing up. Hopefully you can get your mic figured out. Sebs, you
Hi.
should have code names. No Justice, you were great. Feline, you're very
I
confident.
always go to
I didn't understand what you were
content.
saying, but super con. So yeah.
Oh,
Sock.
that reminds me. Please invite me to Codename. I love
Oh
it.
yeah, you can
Oh,
talk to Mr. Geek
definitely.
about that.
Yeah.
Sock, Quencherman, you guys are great. Heem, always a pleasure. You need to do another political trivia stream. Heem, those are really fun.
I know nobody wants to come on and do it, bro. Everyone's too scared.
Dang,
I'll do it. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm always down.
Yeah, I
Always
ain't
down.
scared.
I'm in the
Wow.
list. Just
Nah, I'm
saying.
too much of a pussy. I won't do
I
it.
know. I would like to do it again, but yeah. So maybe we'll work on scheduling it again.
Totally.
Hell yeah. Sorry, Binks, go ahead.
That's it. I'm done.
All right.
Everyone in the chat, tell us how you like the afternoon stream. I think having an afternoon panel was kind of unique and cool. So
I mean, it works for me
everyone
because it
liked
means I don't have to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, totally.
Also, just want to just add thanks, Mr. Geek, thanks, Binks, and thanks, Dambo, for everything. It's much appreciated giving me the chance to be on a panel for once, so I really do appreciate it.
Hell yeah. Thank you everyone for being here and being here on time. I'm sorry, I know like this is amazing. You have no idea. I'm the one who was late. Like I'm the one who like make
It was
made
embarrassing, and
start
don't worry,
like
I noticed.
that.
Yeah.
Mr.
I had to
Geek,
wear
by the
my
way, I'm
tab
sorry
in
I
case
couldn't
you were
be
late.
here today.
Hmm?
I'm sorry I couldn't be here today.
Yeah.
You know, scheduling conflicts.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, thank you everyone. Who is streaming right now and who is going to keep streaming?
I'm currently I started a Dark Souls 3 playthrough last week, and I'm gonna be honest, I may have started grinding during the MILF debate.
Wow.
Damn.
I mean, I was paying attention, just not contributing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over the Prime case panel from last night because I think there were some very interesting takes I want to go over.
I think like later on, in a couple of hours might be good. Heading off and doing the rest of my Pathologic 2 run. So another if you want to check that out, if you like miserable games, then feel free.
All right, I'm out, everyone. Peace out.
All right. You have a good
Wow.
one. I'm going to say
I'm out.
goodbye to
Bye,
my chat
him.
and rate
Take
someone.
care.
Cheers,
All right,
everyone.
bye,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Thank
Take
you for
care,
being
everyone.
here again.
No worries. Thanks for the invitation.
And all right.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right, cool. Well, let's bring Discord back over.